The medieval period in India spanned over 1000 years, starting from the 8th century and lasting all the way up until the 18th century. During this period, Delhi had witnessed countless dynasties of rulers. The first one, which started in the 8th century, was the Tomar dynasty, and after that comes the Chauhan dynasty, after which comes the dynasty ruled by Muhammad of Ghor, and right after that comes the slave dynasty, and after the slave dynasty comes the Khalji dynasty, followed by the Tughlaq dynasty, Sayyid dynasty, and Lodi dynasty.
Hi. Last time I stopped at the specialities of Delhi. Why the rulers selected Delhi as the capital? That was the question I raised in the last video. Almost all of you answered back me with the right answers. The medieval period starts from the Tomar dynasty. Actually, Tomar dynasty's territory was a small area. Haryana and Delhi are the two places which came under their ruling. A small area. Anyway, they are the first to rule from Delhi in the medieval period. Tomar dynasty's heritage actually belonged to Rajasthan. The Rajaputs of that time came to Delhi and they established the dynasty in Delhi that lasted for 400 years. At that period, they built Qutub Minar and the surroundings. Actually, they built a fort there. Just like our Red Fort, they built a fort. As the Tomar dynasty was coming to a close, the Chauhan dynasty arose. The Chauhan dynasty took control of Delhi. Prithviraj Chauhan was the most noted ruler of Chauhan dynasty. During his period, a warlord from Afghanistan, Muhammad of Ghor, attacked Delhi and a fierce battle took place near Delhi in Haryana. At that battle, Prithviraj Chauhan defeated his enemy convincingly. In the next year, that means AD 1192, Muhammad of Ghor came back with a huge army of 3000 soldiers. A fierce battle took place again at Haryana, and that place is called Tharain. At the end of the first day of that battle, both teams were in a stalemate. Basically, they do not fight after the sunset and before the sunrise. So all the Rajaputs came to their tent and they took rest for the next day's battle. Meanwhile, in the night, the huge army of Muhammad Ghor attacked the entire Rajaput's army and they killed almost all the soldiers. Thus, Prithviraj Chauhan lost his battle. This battle is called Second Battle of Tharain. Second Battle of Tharain thus became the pivot of change in Delhi. First time in the history of Delhi, rulers from Muslim community came into power. Muhammad Ghor ruled Delhi for some time. After his death, huge power vacuum in Delhi because he had no living heirs. Anandaravagashigaliilla. So there was a fight between his disciples. At the end, his commander-in-chief Qutbuddin Aibak claimed the throne and he became the ruler of Delhi. Actually, he was a slave of Muhammad Ghori. So the dynasty which starts from Qutbuddin Aibak came to be known as the slave dynasty. Actually, it was a Mamluk dynasty, but the historians called that dynasty as the slave dynasty. When we came across the main rulers of slave dynasty, one name is particularly important. That was none other than Razia Sultana. She was the first ruler of Delhi who happened to be a female. Adhyate Vanitha Bharanadhikari, Razia Sultana. During the period of slave dynasty, India witnessed something monumental. That was the currency system. After slave dynasty, the new dynasty emerged as Khilji dynasty. Jalaluddin Khilji was the first one who established that Khilji dynasty in Delhi. But the main ruler from Khilji dynasty was Alauddin Khilji. Then came the Tughlaq dynasty. Their period starts from AD 1320 and ends in AD 1413, exactly 93 years. Tughlaq dynasty started with Hasi Malik. After he became the ruler of Delhi, he changed his name to Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq. The correct meaning of Tughlaq is not known now, but he changed his name into Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq. During his period, he raised taxes on Hindus and lowered taxes on Muslims. Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq had two sons. The first one was Ughlaq Khan. The second one was Muhammad Khan. Muhammad Khan was Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq's favorite son. So naturally, Muhammad Khan will be the successor of Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq. When Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq along with Muhammad Khan went to the border of their empire, Ughlaq Khan devised a plot to kill his father and younger brother. The plot was designed to look like an accident. After some days, Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq and Muhammad Khan returned to Delhi. When they reached the coveted place, they were welcomed into a beautifully designed place. Actually, that place was designed in such a way that it will collapse after some time. In the night, as expected, that designed tower collapsed. At the end, Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq and his younger son Muhammad Khan died at the spot. Subsequently, his eldest son Ughlaq Khan became the ruler of Tughlaq dynasty, and thus Ughlaq Khan changed his name into Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Muhammad bin Tughlaq was the notable ruler of Tughlaq dynasty. He built a huge empire. He almost covered the modern India, except Kerala and some parts of Tamil Nadu. The entire India came under Muhammad bin Tughlaq's ruling. Because of this huge empire, it is not possible to rule from Delhi. So he decided to change his capital to another place. That is actually the central part of India, Daulatabad of Maharashtra. At that period, that place was known as Deogiri. He changed the name of Deogiri to Daulatabad. The entire process of shifting a capital from Delhi to Daulatabad became a horrible experience. For centuries, people used to live in Delhi. When the king ordered to shift all the prominent families to Daulatabad, they have to shift the entire belongings from Delhi to Daulatabad. That was a huge task. So, a lot of people hesitate to vacate Delhi. It anchored Muhammad bin Tughlaq. When he tries to shift Delhi to Daulatabad, he actually tied those people under the house and ran away from Delhi to Daulatabad with them. When the entire procession reached Daulatabad, the condition of those people who hesitated to came along with them was so pathetic. Only some parts of their body was remaining in the rope attached to them. From Delhi to Daulatabad means they have to travel a huge distance. On the way, all of them collides with a lot of rocks and the difficult terrain. At last, more than hundreds of thousands of people lost their lives due to the cruelty of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. So, he was known in history as the cruel king of Delhi. After some years, he changed his capital from Daulatabad to Delhi again. So, Tughlaq's dynasty's ruling was not a good one to remember. But at the same time, he was the person who actually increased the area of the empire. Now, I have to ask some questions to you. We learned about the Tomar dynasty, the Chauhan dynasty, Muhammad of Ghor, the slave dynasty, the Khilji dynasty, and the last Tughlaq dynasty. You just write down the name of dynasties in one side and the prominent rulers in the right side. Who were the important persons of each dynasty? Find out details of those persons and write down those answers also in your notebook and give me a reply. Thank you.